We got the C-Nod right here for you, the Cowboys news of the day. And the segment's brought to you by the Frankels. Life's unpredictable. Accidents happen. Frankel and Frankel are the go-to attorneys for car and truck wrecks in DFW. If you or a loved one's been in an accident, contact Frankel and Frankel for a free consultation. It's 214 or 817-333-3333, or go online to truckwreck.com. We're going to start at CBSSports.com. Garrett Podell with the byline. Good story up on DaRon Bland. And giving credit to Coach Al Harris, who played for Mike McCarthy at Green Bay and is now coaching with him as the secondary coach. And the main thing, Brian, they're giving credit to changing the stance at the snap, changing his stance and saying that has allowed him, it's set him up for success in the rest of the route.
He does a really good job, and I mentioned this before. When you watch him play, he is one of those guys that his ability to read the route, and sometimes these corners, they play on feel. I think he plays on vision. He plays on so how they align him, how he's able to whatever technique is, squaring him up, how they play him back, just making sure that he has the vision to where he's able to peripherally see the quarterback, but also see what the receiver's doing.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it with alignment. So we were talking about the Seahawks tonight. They turn their corners inside. So they really, they're getting a look at the ball with the quarterback, but they're getting a look with the route. But that's, like I say, they're trying to funnel. But when you play square like they've got Bland playing, he can really, because he can see it and he can drive. That's the thing. I mean, even when routes go across the field, we've seen him, and a lot of that happens when he was in the nickel, when he was playing as that slot player. His ability to defend the whole field, I think, is what makes him one of the better defensive backs in the league. That ability just to carry routes wherever he has to go.
What do you think of the Al Harris angle here?
I love
this
it.
A rising star of the coaching staff?
Al, it's so funny because I was watching the All-22, and it was when he got the interception the other day, like Al Harris was flying down the sidelines. Like he was running along the white of the sidelines as Bland was going in, and it was like he was trucking. And so, but I think Al's played in this game. He played in an era where there was a lot of the bump and run, a lot of the grabbing, a lot of clutching, and he played in that time. So he's good about as far as coaching and understanding. Sometimes these coaches, we always say, well, you don't put him in the best positions, but Al has played in this league. He knows how to cover he's had to cover some of the better receivers in football.
Yeah.
And so his ability to teach that to his corners, that's one of the reasons why that him and Joe Witt, both those guys have done a really nice job with this secondary.
I feel like if you're getting the Dan Quinn, that's funny. If you're getting the Dan Quinn stamp of approval, you've been around here for 3 years. Right. Considering the way that Dan is operating, if I'm an opposing team and I'm like, who are the guys from this coaching staff that I'd be most interested in? They're the guys working with Dan Quinn. I think that's the coaching tree that I'd be most interested coming off this Cowboys right now.
Well, their defensive line coach, that's the thing, and we're, whether you follow these things or not with those coaching openings. Carolina has an opening, the Raiders have an opening already. You're looking at that, and I've seen Dan Quinn's name mentioned for the Raider opening.
This could get really interesting.
Yeah, who do you lose and who do you keep? And you don't want to lose.
There's no reason for Dan to think, though, that I got to leave now. If you stayed for this year, I would stay for next year. I
think the thing with Dan is, we've always said this, there's only 32 of these jobs. And Dan really does love being here. I know people that are close to Dan that they've said nothing but positive things about his experience.
So do you think it comes down to an offer? Has he not been offered a job?
Well, I think that, to me, they felt like that he had the Denver job.
Yeah.
And then if we remember what happened with the Denver job,
that's right. They were being sold.
They were being sold, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, we can't hire another defensive coach here.
Yeah.
So they go out and get Nathaniel Hackett, and so now instead of hiring a coach that would be best qualified for the job, they went and got a coach that felt like, well, it's an offensive-minded guy and this, that, and the other. But, he thought he had the Denver job, and he was going to go on from there.
Well, I saw Adam Schefter say there's going to be upwards of like 10 potential head coaching vacancies.
Wow.
So there's
going to be option. Another one. Hey, who knows what's going to happen in the next 5 games? I'm assuming right now Mike McCarthy's locked in for next year, but things could get crazy here between now and the new year for sure.
Well, it's when you have the opportunity to get back in and be that head coach, I think it's what Dan has to look at now. Could Dan be a guy that I know that he's very popular on this staff?
Yeah.
Very popular with the front office.
You got it good. You're in a premium franchise.
Right.
Do you want to go lose somewhere for 2 years?
Yeah.
I would rather wait until they run out of patience with Mike McCarthy.
Some of these guys will willing to go take a chance to get back and be
especially
that
with
guy.
all these quarterbacks that are coming in the draft. If you get the right one, you could set yourself up to be a legend somewhere. I don't know if that's better than winning the Super Bowl with the Cowboys, but maybe you would start to lose faith. If you look at the team building and you go out in the divisional round again, I wouldn't blame him for that either. Okay, check in on Micah Parsons here in the CBS story as well. The 2-time All-Pro leads the NFL with 71 pressures, 21% quarterback pressure rate, highest among defensive players with at least 300 pass rush snaps. 11.5 sacks put him on pace for 17 or 18, Chief. Will he get there?
Ooh, yes, I do believe he gets there. I absolutely believe he gets there. I don't think he liked the way his season ended last year from a sack total standpoint, and he was on pace to do something special over 15, 16, 17 sacks last year for sure. And then, teams started to adjust. I think his pressures were still very, very high at the end of last year, but he didn't get the sacks. I think that's hugely important to him. And he's just an animal. I mean, all those numbers you just said, you could rewind the tape this time last year, and it's pretty much the same thing. Year before, just like the dude is an absolute monster when it comes to getting after the passer. And I do feel like, especially with the way this Cowboys defense is playing, and if they're able to blowing teams out, at home, where it's like, oh my gosh, dude, you're getting opportunities in the second half to just pin your ears back. Hopefully tonight's another one, because you're not going to get that next week versus Philadelphia. Yeah. That's going to be a nail biter situation to the end. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and bet on Micah Parsons.
How's Miami and Buffalo's offensive line? Do you have knowledge on that?
Off the top of my head, the Dolphins.
I just know what I saw in the Buffalo Philly game the other day. That that it looked like there was times where when you're dealing against Philadelphia, you're going to deal against pressure. There's going to be times. I think Buffalo held up pretty well in that game. I know the quarterback had to move and make some scramble runs and some throws on the move and stuff like that, but it didn't feel like that it was just that they were under siege. I felt like that they were, you're going to get in games where you're going to have 2 or 3 plays where the protection's just going to look awful.
And you got to hit there.
And you got to, you got to go there.
Great quote from Micah in this story, by the way, talking about Trayvon Diggs. Says one of the keys to him starting out on fire like he was, before he got hurt, he was just unbelievable. He cut out pot pies. And I personally hated to hear that because I love pot pies so much. And I wonder how impactful that could be. I hope you're not it sounds like, eliminating pot pies from your life can sort of unleash maybe an extra 10 or 15% of athletic ability. And I'm having a tough time because I'm trying to get back in the basketball flow right now. I'm hitting the Peloton hard, Chief.
Okay.
I've lifted weights like seven days in a row now.
Wow.
And now I'm considering cutting out the pot pies. I don't know if it's worth it, though.
That's the final step. I mean, if you're going to do all these other things, and if you're just a pot pie away from getting back to the athletic prowess that you grew up appreciating about yourself, then, I mean, my gosh, why wouldn't you? You just put the pie on the shelf for a while. It's not forever.
Yeah.
You're going to get back to that pie.
My plan is I ordered a full-size basketball today. I've been playing with the women's basketball with Abby, getting her ready and all that.
Nice.
So I got to start shooting the full-size rock again. But I want to be old man with the 3. That's what I'm thinking. A lot less effort. If I'm old man with the 3, I don't have to play defense because I'm going to go down and knock down 2s in your face all day.
Yeah, you're J.J. Redick.
And I don't have to dribble or rebound.
Yeah, and here we go. And he was all over Luke about playing defense.
Yeah.
But he's got the same plan that Luka had.
You should have seen me in my 20s with my slow ass locking people up on effort alone, slapping the floor, Brian. Okay,
with a
That's
heater
all
on his lip.
Yes.
Why do I not see that?
He carried around an ashtray in his pocket.
Yeah.
And he was locking folks down.
He was locking folks down.
And now he's a pot pie away from getting back to that.
I might not have ever locked anybody down, but in my mind, I was at 110%. That's all I want from Luka.
If you had to give up
I know
pot
that
pies
struggle.
or sweet rolls, which one you giving up?
Popeyes.
I'm about to say he ain't.
But I have not had any sweets in like 5 days now.
Oh, is this your
I'm
Linton
freaking
thing
dialed.
you're doing again?
No, it's I got the Peloton and I've been hitting the exercise bike, and I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do all this exercise, I can't ruin it with 15 cookies for dinner.
There you go, man.
You know, so I'm in a good mode right now.
I love where you're at. I also want to update the Bills. Their composite pass protection ratings are actually number 1 in the league right now,
Dang.
and the Dolphins are 4th. So
You got 4 good lines for Micah to go tear up.
you got some good lines coming up here. The Eagles sitting at 7th. Interestingly, we always assume they're number 1, even though grading offensive lines is extremely difficult. But, I'm still just going to bet on Micah to get this thing done.
Next Gen Stats gives Bland only a 66% probability of making his first Pro Bowl this year. That's where I think Next Gen Stats went wrong. I don't think he gets denied with 5 pick sixes. You know, they're talking about him for depoy. Yeah. He will be in the Pro Bowl. Is there a place I can bet on this?
It's not a real Pro Bowl, though, right? It's just it's an honor, right? Do they play flag football still? Is that what we're doing now?
Yeah, they're doing something.
so.
But you get the honor of being in a Pro Bowl. You just don't actually physically get to suit up. You got to go play dodgeball or maybe do something, some game you have to play.